Hey there, kings and queens. My name is Kincaid McMinn, and you're watching the Kingly Love YouTube channel. There's only a couple of weeks left in May, which is National Masturbation Month, so I wanted to come at you with a couple more videos about masturbation. Now, it's been reported that amongst teens and young adults, roughly 75% of men and roughly 50% of women masturbate on a semi-regular basis. That being said, despite its ubiquity, nobody's willing to talk about it, and there are a lot of myths and misconceptions about masturbation. So I wanted to address some of my top 5 masturbation myths for you all today. Now, I'm not going to insult your intelligence by going over the classic myths of like, oh, masturbation gives you hairy palms or makes you go blind or anything like that, but there are still a lot of myths out there that negatively impact our image of ourselves and our lives. So here are the top 5 masturbation myths out there and the truth behind them. Masturbation myth number 1, I'm starting off with a big one here, is this idea of masturbation or porn addiction. There is this idea out there that because masturbation feels good and you may want to do it repeatedly, that it's somehow this addictive thing just because neurochemicals are released in the brain. A lot of rhetoric out there will say is just like drug abuse or just like cocaine addiction or all these other things. I personally don't agree with the addiction model, especially when it comes to masturbation or pornography or sex. I don't agree with the addiction model for any of those 3 things, because what that does, it becomes a battle between your brain and the rest of you, versus legitimate addictions such as alcoholism or things like that, that there is this external substance. Research has shown in studies on rats that are completely devoid of any sort of healthy external stimulus and only have water laced with cocaine, that they will drink themselves to death with that cocaine because they have literally no other stimulation. However, if those same rats have the cocaine water, but also have other rats that they can go and play with, or tunnels or things for stimulation, partner rats that they can have sex with, that they don't give a shit anymore about the cocaine. This idea of sex or masturbation addiction is targeting your own body, I find, is especially harmful. Is there such a thing as compulsive sexual behavior or compulsive masturbatory behavior? Yes, there is. But I find that if there's some sort of issue where your masturbation habits are getting in the way of healthy work habits, are getting in the way of healthy work schedule or school or your relationships, that there's some other issue that's at play, and you're using masturbation as a distraction or a coping mechanism for whatever is wrong in those areas. I don't think that masturbation is the issue. The issue is the thing itself, and you're using masturbation as a coping mechanism. So figure out what that issue is and work on trying to resolve it. Otherwise, masturbation is supposed to feel good. Congratulations. Masturbation myth number 2 is that masturbation can make you depressed. I'm gonna go ahead and cycle back a little bit to the point that I made on number 1, that if there's something wrong in your life and you're potentially using masturbation as a coping mechanism, that could be playing a part here as well. You're not depressed because you're masturbating. You could be masturbating because you're depressed, and that's a way that you're coping with it and trying to feel good about yourself. If that's the case, then again, I encourage you to take stock of your life. What areas are lacking, either in your relationships or your health or your job, or the foods that you're eating or things like that, and try to address those issues. That could be the root cause of the depression versus masturbation, which is just a coping mechanism. Masturbation number 3 is that you can't or shouldn't masturbate in relationships, or that masturbation can hurt your relationships. There is a belief out there that if you're with a partner, if you're with a sexual partner or romantic partner, that you shouldn't need to masturbate because you can get all your sexual satisfaction met from this one person who's supposed to be like a golden god and satisfy your every need. And that's simply not true. Many people, both men and women, masturbate whether they're in a relationship or whether they're not. Masturbation is a thing that feels good, that acquaints us with our own bodies. And plus, sometimes it can be nice to be able to just kind of kick back and masturbate and pleasure yourself and show yourself some love and not have to worry about pleasing your partner. It's wonderful that you have a partner to please and that your partner can please you, but it's also nice sometimes to just have some alone time and to not have to worry about that. Masturbation myth number 4 is that masturbation causes erectile dysfunction. You may have had this experience before. I know I have, where, I have no problem maintaining an erection while I'm masturbating, but when I get in the sack, it's hard to get it up. And it just kind of happens sometimes. And there could be a couple different things that are at play here. It could either be physical or it could be mental. If you're gripping too tight, it's very common for, especially men who are masturbating, to grip their penis really, really tightly. And that causes your body to get used to that particular type of sensation. So then when your partner is giving you a blowjob, or you guys are having intercourse, the pressure that they're able to apply may not be enough for you to maintain an erection, because your body's just gotten so used to that iron death grip. So a couple things you can do for this is to either relax your grip, loosen it up a little bit. You can also try using your non-dominant hand or a toy like we discussed a couple of weeks ago to give your body a different sensation to get used to, so that way it's not completely reliant upon that death grip. Some potential mental factors could be the fact that if you're worried about performing well for your partner, it could very well be that you have some level of performance anxiety. Whenever you're having sex, you need to get hard, but it's hard to think about getting hard when you're trying to focus on your partner, so that makes it hard to get hard, and then you're thinking really hard about getting hard, and that makes it harder to get hard, because it's hard to relax to get hard when you're thinking hard about getting hard, and that's just hard. It's very difficult sometimes when we have this expectation of ourselves that we need to perform a certain way, that it puts a lot of pressure on us. That makes it difficult for us to relax, and it makes it difficult for us to maintain an erection, and that's perfectly normal and natural sometimes. My advice is try to take a bit of the pressure off yourself. Really focus on enjoying the sensation with your partner. If you end up, having an erection, that's great. If not, then that's okay too. Maintain a safe space for each other. Say, hey, I'm having a hard time with this. Are there any things that you are having difficulty with? One small health note is that if you're still waking up with morning wood but are having a hard time getting erections during other parts, it's likely a psychological issue. If you find that you're not waking up with morning wood, it could be that there is a blood clot somewhere in your body, and you should see a doctor about that, because that runs the risk of leading to heart attack or stroke if left untreated or unattended to. And masturbation myth number 5 is that masturbation kills your gains, bro. There is a popular myth out there, especially amongst men, especially amongst athletes, that masturbating or having sex before a competition specifically will kill that kind of fighter's edge that you have. You may recall in the movie Rocky that Rocky was forbidden from fooling around with his love interest, Adrian. He believed that it would take off his fighter's edge, that killer instinct that happens when you've gone a little while without having sex or masturbating or achieving orgasm in general. While there is some element of relaxation that occurs through the release of neurochemicals in your brain that tells your body that it's okay to relax, there has been no scientific evidence that shows that it negatively impacts your gains. That level of tension that you may feel after a couple of days of not achieving an orgasm is your brain and your body's way of going into kind of like a fight or flight response and saying, I want to fuck, to try to find something to relieve that tension. Masturbation is shown to have absolutely no negative impact on your muscular gains or on anything like that. If anything, scientific studies have shown that achieving orgasm, having sex, or masturbating actually increases your levels of testosterone in your body, which can lead to increased gain. I also feel like it's a little bit of a mental game. I personally don't let whether or not I've masturbated really affect me all that much in the gym. So those are my top 5 masturbation myths, debunked, and the truth behind them. I have one more video coming up next week for National Masturbation Month. In the meantime, if you like this video, go ahead, hit like and subscribe. If you could do me all a favor and share this as well with anybody that you feel may gain some value from it, I'd greatly appreciate it. And leave a comment down below. What masturbation myths have you heard? What have you been raised with about, people who watch porn, people who masturbate? Are they evil, or are they perfectly fine and normal and natural? Let me know. In the meantime, I will talk to you all next week. Love like royalty.